Welcome to the Right Hand Roadmap, the podcast for seconds in command of founder-led companies. I'm your host, Megan Long, owner of Second First. In each episode, we show you the path to success on your journey as the #2 leader in entrepreneurial companies. I am so happy you are here. Today, we're going to be talking about financial moves you can make as a second in command that will really wow your CEO. Even if you're not a CFO, there are ways you can directly contribute to the financial health and maturity of your company. I'm not talking about sales or anything like that. I'm talking about discovering waste, finding leakage, plugging the holes in the bucket to make sure you and your entrepreneur know where every dollar is going. A coach I worked with a few years ago shared a habit that he had when he was a CEO. At the beginning of every new fiscal year, he holed himself away at his home office, so no meetings, no calls, essentially out of office. And he audited every single line item of expenses. So he reviewed all the vendor bills, every license they paid for. He looked at every credit card charge. And if they didn't need it, he cut it. When I heard that, I was like, oh my gosh, yes. So whenever I did this as a COO, I would easily find anywhere between $20,000 and $100,000 a year just in stuff we were paying for, which is kind of embarrassing, but it starts to snowball after a while and you don't even realize that it's accumulated. Here are some examples of what to look for in waste if you don't know where to start. Free trials that turned into paid subscriptions that no one is using, software licenses for employees that have offboarded or no longer need a license. This also includes unused seats for like phone lines, tools or services your team isn't using, such as like expensive managed print contracts if you went hybrid, or any tools or services that you might be paying for offboarded clients as well. Once you've trimmed off all of the true waste, you can begin looking at all of your contracts with a discerning eye and see if you can negotiate or have someone on your team negotiate your vendor contracts. So there are a couple ways to approach this. The first and most obvious is to look at the agreements that are based on a minimum amount of seats. So let's say you got a better price per license by committing to 100 seats, but you only have 60 employees. You're overpaying because you don't need all 100 licenses. So you should reduce that minimum down to 50. Oftentimes you will have to wait until the renewal date in order to do this. So part of this exercise can certainly just be going through all of these contracts, documenting that renewal date and how far in advance you need to negotiate. So let's say you have to let them know 60 days before it renews and just start tracking that. So that way, when that date comes, you can start to trim these expenses back. Okay. And last, think about where there might be revenue leakage. What do I mean by revenue leakage? Okay. An example would be processing or credit card fees. If you're accepting payment through a payment processor like Stripe or Authorize.net, there is a percentage that is being skimmed off every dollar you bill, which can be significant. So while it might not be permissible to charge that fee back to your clients, you can certainly raise your prices by that percentage and then give them a corresponding discount for paying by ACH or by e-check. Okay, so if your credit card fee that you have to pay is 3%, you can raise your prices 3%, but then give a 3% discount if they choose not to pay with a credit card. I hope that makes sense. Other areas of revenue leakage could be accurate billing, both in time and materials. So if you bill hourly, this would be any unbilled hours or hours written off. If it's materials, this is being sloppy and not tracking what you actually use and what you should charge the client for, or just wasting excess materials. And then the last one, I've talked about this before, but it's not charging interest or late fees for late payments. If you don't have this in your terms or you don't enforce it, there will be clients that unfortunately use you as their cash management strategy. So as they are earning interest in their bank by holding their cash, you are losing out. Either build that in your terms enforce it if it is in your terms, or just move all of your clients to auto pay. Really, the theme is to audit. Yes, it will take time away from other projects you're working on, but at the end, you'll be able to put a dollar amount to the effort. And I promise you, it will impress your CEO. To find show notes and links for anything mentioned in this episode, visit secondfirst.com/14. Be sure to subscribe to catch future episodes and leave us a review on whatever platform you're listening on. Remember, you don't have to navigate being a second in command alone when you have the right hand roadmap.